Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's been a few weeks. I haven't been posting anything, but it's good to be back. And today we are going to be talking about something a lot of people asked me to talk about. So last week was our anniversary. Yes, happy anniversary to us. 8 years and growing stronger. And a lot of people asked me, what keeps you going? What keeps you guys so happy? And people don't realize that we actually put in effort to say it just doesn't happen. For any marriage to work, you need to be willing to do the work. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about some of the work we needed to do in the past year. We won't talk about the other years. We've done a few videos on that, but we're going to be sharing what has worked for us in 2020 to 2021. So let's get into it. So our first point, we always start with God, putting God first. What do you have to say about that?
I think that's so important, putting God first. When we got married at the ceremony, the pastor will be saying, okay, what God is doing together, let no man tear apart. And there's you, there's me, and then there's God. Like they call it the triangle. So it's so important. And I think it really, and when you get into marriage, you really see just how important it is. Because when you're on the outside, you think, we can manage on our own. But really, you need God to be at the center of your relationship. He needs to be that common ground. Because when He is at the center, you will, because you're people, you will have that friction. But He will keep you together. He's the bond that ties us together. So it's so important. And for us, I think one of the good things that has really helped us, especially over the last year, and I think we've been doing it previously, but it's really strengthened over the last year, is every evening before we go to bed, we usually have some devotional time that we spend together, whether we're going through a book, or then we pray at the end, and we're just learning or growing spiritually, and that really helps because you're getting to read something that someone has written, an expert or whoever, and then we get our own input and how we react to it, how we see it, and our own experiences, and then how we can apply that in our lives. And I think that's so important. It really helps us to get on the same page. And then you say, okay, that's what you're thinking. This is how I'm seeing it. Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Okay, but this is how I see it. Oh, that makes sense. And then we can align with our thoughts. And it's not just, it's that even spiritually we are aligned. So I think it's really important.
Yeah, and the good thing about praying together is sometimes the Holy Spirit just convicts you when you need to improve in the relationship and as an individual. And we also have our separate prayers as individuals. Brian is but why am I saying? Okay, so Brighton has his own day of fasting. Like on a Tuesday, I have my own day, and he prays for his own things. I pray for my own thing. So that way it helps us not to rely on each other too much, but to also have our individual relationships with God. So we'll go to the second point, communicating. Communicating is important. I do not know how to emphasize this point, but it is important to communicate because most of the times we assume. So I'll give you an example like I've always done. Sometimes when something happens, if I don't ask Brighton to say, what does this mean? Half the time I find I am coming up with my own assumptions. I'm getting mad at something that he doesn't even realize he's done wrong. And men and women think differently. I think sometimes we expect, because you are my spouse, you should just get it, But we have learned that it is important to communicate, to say when you're hurt, to say when you do not like something, to say when you need something to be changed, because we're continually growing. So it's important that we also mention to say, you know what, I used to enjoy this, but I don't enjoy it anymore. So communication is important. Do you want to add on to that?
Yeah, I think the communication is so obvious and it's but it's foundational stuff, you know, and it adds to what I was talking about, being on the same page. And coming from me, I'm someone who's an introvert, and I'm low on the emotional intelligence scale. So I'll be honest that it's something that has been a challenge for me, because really, you know, if something, I don't like confrontations, I'd rather avoid it, just hope things go away. But you can't do that, you know, you have to.
It doesn't work. It does not work, because sometimes you end up being mad for days over something that someone else doesn't know they need to improve on. And I think because we're humans, something I have learned to do is God gives us grace every day. He's always forgiving us, but we are not able to extend the same grace to the person that we're married to or a person we're in a relationship with. I look at my child, I tell you something 2-3 times, get it right. But look at where we work, our bosses and everything. We make mistakes and they forgive us, but we don't want to extend that same grace in a relationship. So it's something to think about. Then the third point is learning. Brighton, what would you say about that?
Learning, I think in all aspects, I think this is broad, because in our relationship, we, like, for us, we weren't married before we got married. So what we're doing right now, it's a learning process. It's a journey. We're always learning. We haven't been married before this last year. We hadn't been married for 8 years. This was our 8th year. So we hadn't been married for 8 years. So we're learning a lot of things. We're going into the 9th year. We're gonna be learning year 9 marriage, year 10, and so on, and hopefully it goes on forever. But so there's that learning, and then there's also, I think, within that relationship, it's good to always expose yourself to things. Like, you know, I like reading, and thankfully you've also adopted this habit of reading.
Later.
Yes, it took 8 years.
And you know,
but I got through it.
The crazy part is when we started and you'd be like, Anna could read this book. I'll be like, oh my gosh, she started. Now I find myself going back to him to say, guess what, you need to read this book, and yet he mentioned that book like long back. So I'm glad that I caught up, because I'm really learning a lot.
Catching up, not caught up yet.
Goodness, because you've read so many books.
I think it also, just to add to that, is like it makes, because, you know, like the way our lives are so hectic, it's not like we get to travel all the time and get to order, you know, it's either you're at work or you're at home with the kids, whatever you're doing. So what you do is routine, it's repetitive. So, you know, if every day you're coming back at the end of the day, then you're saying, oh, you know what, how was your day? Oh, no, I went to work, I did this, and you say, oh, I'm with the kids, so blah, 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 the same thing over and over. But it goes stale. But if you're always learning other things outside of that, you know what, like, you know, at least now when I come to you and say, I read this, I learned this, oh, you can be like, oh, okay, I'll look into that, or I'll share a video with you. This was really interesting, you should have a look at it. And the same thing with you. I may never actually watch the videos, but that's a different thing.
Are you telling me you don't watch my videos?
No, I do.
Yeah. And I think for me, even when it comes to the motivational videos, when you used to say to me, Anna, don't touch your phone in the morning, you know. I now listen to motivational speakers in the morning, like Les Brown. He is so good. He will get you off your bed if you're lazy, you know what I mean? Or if you're having a bad day. He just helps you look at things from a different perspective. Jay Shetty, which other motivational speakers do usually?
Jim Rohn.
That is a good one, yes. Earl Nightingale.
He's like the godfather.
You need to go look for him. He is really good. I think that's where all these motivational speakers get their information from. But he is amazing, and he's got books on YouTube, so you can even listen, or Audible. Books are everywhere, and like you said, it's challenged us in so many areas of our lives. When it comes to our finances, we've had to sit down and say, dude, we're overspending, let's change things. When it comes to our skills and improving them, we're now keeping each other accountable, which goes to our next point, being accountable to each other. And this is amazing, but it also pisses me off sometimes, because I like giving excuses. You know, when I say to him, Brighton, I'm working on this month, and then I slack, and then he'll be like, girl, get up and start showing up. And sometimes, because me being a woman, let's use my womanhood as an excuse, but sometimes you're just not in the mood and it's like, I'm not hearing it. You need to get out there and do something. But it's also helped me to do a lot of reading. It's helped me to do this YouTube channel because I'd shared with him that I want to help people, and it's like, I'm keeping you accountable. And yeah, there are weeks where you'll be like, there's no video, what's going on? And I'm like, dude, you do it, you know. But it's good for me because he pushes me, and I think that really helps in a relationship where you push each other. You find out what you're good at and you say, how can I help? How can I keep you accountable? It also means that when I find information, like he likes reading, when I find great books, I'll be like, Brighton, you need to read this book. He likes writing. I connect him to people who are into writing and stuff like that. And talk about that. One of the amazing things that I've done for you when it comes to your writing. Let me have my moment. Dude, come on. Come on. Just share.
There have been many. She's done a lot. That's so, you know, it's she's done a lot. I mean, yeah. I mean, you're the one who linked me up with Taku to begin with, and she's been amazing. She's also a writer, and she's helping me. She's really done great stuff, and also I think with the Wanja that you.
Yeah, I got people to buy your book.
And so, it's been a lot. I mean, she's been like, you know, they always say behind every great man there's a great woman.
Yes.
And for me, that's true. It's her. She's done so much. You know, she's been my cheerleader. She's been in my corner. I really appreciate that, and that's something, you know, that you need as a man, you know, someone who's there, you know, pushing you. You know, we've got egos, and it feels so good to just have someone that you can rely on, and someone who's always pushing you, expecting more from you and challenging you. So for me, I really appreciate that. It's something that that has really helped me a lot, and it keeps me going. So yeah, thank you.
And I think it goes both ways. Like, we are both learning, and like we are saying, even when it came to our finances, we just used to spend, and now we're learning so many things, even when it comes to investing, when it comes to, you know, starting new habits means you need to make some sacrifices, and we've worked together. So we now agreed to say, you know what, when it comes to our groceries, we've overspent, or we're almost finishing our money, so we're just gonna have the basic meals, and everyone understands because we're reading together. So it helps to be on the same page, because you don't want to read something and then you just start bringing changes in the house and someone's like, what's going on? You know, that's where some fights start, to say what's going on. You're expecting the other person to understand. You never sat them down to say, let's do this. Are you in? Are you out? You know, and we just assume, I've brought a new idea, I've learned from someone great, so, you know, I just need to apply it. And for me, the crazy thing is, because I've been doing a lot of courses and learning, half the things Brighton told me years ago, I keep coming and saying, dude, now I understand. He's always been telling me about boundaries, and I came the other week, I think it was last week, I was like, dude, now I understand. I need to have boundaries. I need to stop being so nice. What just also respect myself to, you know, people will appreciate your time more when you put boundaries. So these are some of the things that have helped us, and we continue to learn. Now, Brighton, talk about this no excuse thing that you introduced in our home.
Yeah, whatever you say, you're right. I always say, like, she's always say, you know what, I can't do this, and I'll be like, guess what?
All right.
You're right. If you say you can't do it, you're right. If you say you can do it, you're right. So basically the idea is, you know what, don't give yourself excuses, you know, and they always say that excuses sound the best to those who are giving them. You know, so don't
say that again.
Excuses sound best to those who are giving them. Nobody else wants to hear excuses. No one wants to hear your excuses. So it's really important, you know, to put the excuses aside. You know, there's always reasons. Like, you know, like with me, I've tried to, you know, watch my health, you know, and my weight, and watch what I eat. And sometimes she'll be asking me, why aren't you running? Why aren't you going jogging in the morning? And now we've hit winter, and I can admit that, you know what, it's been a challenge. When it was in summer, I didn't have a problem. I would get up in the morning, go for my jog, come back, it's fine. Now it's winter, you know, your alarm goes off and it is like 8 degrees, 9 degrees, and you're like, I should get up and run. And you're like, I'll do it tomorrow. And you know, you see excuses start creeping in. So you just need to cut excuses out. You just that's all I can say.
And I like this quote that I found, and it said, if it's important to you, you'll find a way. If not, you'll find an excuse. So you gotta keep going. If it means something to you, you will find every reason to get up and you do it. And the other thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to making a marriage work is stop looking at what the next person needs to change and start looking at yourself and what you need to change. To say, you know what, I'm not going to do this until he changes. That was one of the things that really affected us when we started our marriage. It's not a competition. You are on the same team with your partner, and I forgot who mentioned it, but I like the analogy they gave, that was to say that when you're married, it's like being on a boat. You're rowing together, but sometimes one of you gets tired, and if you stop rowing when your other person is tired, you will both sink. So for me, it helped me to understand that we have different strengths and weaknesses. There's sometimes where you are weak, where I need to be strong. But if I'm always keeping a score of the things you're getting right and wrong, then it doesn't make the relationship work. I always put everything back to God to say, look at how he forgives us. He never says, last week I forgave you. He's just always wanting to hear us just be sincere, And I think that they say marriage is a ministry, is supposed to even help us with our relationship with God, to say we are the bride and he's the groom, So all I will say is you need to make sure that you're not always looking at I. And one thing our counselor told us was, as long as you go to your partner and you say, I, then you've lost it. It's about we. You're supposed to be saying we. You're working together as a team. And those little things will bring changes in your marriage. Do you have anything else to add on that?
I guess it's more of reinforcing everything we've been talking about, because you find it's not making a marriage work. It's not one thing. It's almost like it's a combination of things, that you all need, like, and being on the same page, communicating, making allowances for the other person, where they're strong, let them lead, where you're there, let them, and then pushing each other to get better. It's not just about saying, okay, I can't do this, and then you don't do it, but you also try to learn things, you also try to develop skills, and you help each other. And because remember, you're a team, that's why I like to see you succeed, because your success is our success, so I would be quite happy to even take a back seat and see you succeed, to provide everything that you need. It just makes the team better. It's not about me, it's not about you, it's about us. So, and that's so crucial, because you need to understand when you're working together, you don't then say, oh, but no, she's now doing this, or she's doing this. Be like, no, we are doing this, or we've managed to do this. And remember, we're doing it for our family, not just for me, it's not just for you, it's for us, it's for the children. And that just helps us grow, on this, when we go on this journey, growing, and God leading us and guiding us, and things just work for us.
Yeah. And one of the last ones that I want to share is FOMO, fear of missing out. As a couple, don't compare yourself to other people. Don't compare your partner to someone else, to say, why can't you be like that other person? Why can't you be like this? Love your person the way they are. The moment you say to someone, why can't you be with this, like this person? That hurts. Look at it the other way if it was said to you, to say, why can't you be with like that person? And it also means that you also have to surround yourself with the right people. If you surround yourself with couples that are negative, or if you surround yourself with people who are selfish, then you automatically become the same way. Sometimes you start out being different, but because you're hanging out a lot, remember the power of the mind, whatever you feed it is what starts coming out of you. If you feed yourself negative thoughts, that's exactly what happened. And never say the D word. The D word. Do you have something to say about that?
The D, what's the D word?
Divorce. Right?
Okay. Hey,
I thought we're on the same page.
Yeah, clearly.
Yes. Oh my
word. See that communication thing? I didn't get a heads up. But anyway, yes, like, you mentioned two things. You made me think of something. I'll talk about the D word. No. Yeah, I'll talk about the D word. I remember when we got married, the pastor was marrying us. He said 98% of all couples think of divorce at one point in their marriage. And I remember sitting there thinking, nah, that's not us, we're part of the 2%. Then I realized now, 8 years later, that he was just being diplomatic. He was saying 98%. It's 100%. You know, he just didn't want to make it an absolute certainty, but that's how it is. That word will come into you, and that option will look like, you know what? But you know what, that's the thing, like when you're not working together, you're not focusing on God, you're not moving, you're not staying on the same page, you're not communicating. That's why you'd be like, what are we doing here? That's when you start thinking about such things. But when you have all these things coming together, you don't see those things. You know, you're not thinking about yourself, you're seeing as we're a team. And when you're working as a team, you never think about going your own way. And so that's what the other thing I was gonna say is, maybe, you know, you were talking about when you were saying comparing yourself with other people. I thought maybe it just reminded me, since it was our anniversary, and you know, I just thought maybe you might wanna blow my horn a little bit and let other guys not compare themselves with me. I don't mean to brag.
What did you do? I have no idea what you did.
Wow.
Okay, so yeah, Brighton did something that is so amazing. I was really touched. He was writing something to be thankful for daily, to say if I did something right. Like at first I thought he had cheated and he just went and he, you know, just was writing whatever he thought of, but it was so precise.
But maybe to be clear, because you know this communication thing, I don't think that you communicated it well.
Okay, Brighton, just say what you did.
I read somewhere, this is part of the thing I was talking about reading, and there was this book I read, I think it was by Darren Hardy, if I'm not wrong. It was, I think, The Compound Effect or something. It's a self-help book, motivational kind of thing. And he was saying that one of the things he did, like, and then I just thought, that's an idea, I'll take it. This was sometime last year, just before our 7th anniversary. He said every day he would write something down he was grateful for to his wife every day. Just diarize it. Yeah, but I'm saying every day. So for 365 days, from anniversary to anniversary, every day, what I would do is I'd write something. Thank you for, you know,
the little things.
Yeah, you know, cleaning up the house, for cooking a healthy meal, for coming out with us to the park, for, you know, doing this, whatever, you know, she would be just one thing. You know, there's always something I could be grateful for every single day. So, and then I gave her that, so you could call it a diary or little book that I had been writing, jotting down these things, because, you know, it was just, for me, it was such a good thing. It was, for me, it just got to for me to be because gratitude is so important, you know, and you can't be mad at someone you're grateful for or grateful to, you know. You always, yes, it doesn't work that way. If you're grateful, you're not going to be mad at that person. And I found even this year, I don't think we've had any bust-ups of note, you know. Maybe I should keep writing it. Who knows? But, you know, we haven't really had any major disagreements or anything like that. And it for me, it was really nice, you know, and it just shows that, you know, there is something that I'm grateful for to her every single day of my life. So, and if I'm grateful, you know, that for me, it was a really good experience for me, writing it down. And I think it reinforces it, you know. You'd be like, you know, if today there's always something. So it's really good to express that gratitude, you know, and just say, hey, I really appreciate you. I hope you know that, you know, I mean, yeah.
And for me, what made it so special is your attention to detail. To say there were little things I was doing where I'm like, no one does not appreciate me. And then you find you actually appreciate it, and you just decided to say it at once. So that meant a lot to me. But yes, so we don't make this long. These are some of the tips we are going to be giving you that make marriage work. It takes work. Don't ever think that people are just happy just in jail, like you say, but people are putting in the work. And don't compare yourself. Everyone has bad days, but it's that decision to say, we're not going to focus on the bad days, we're actually going to focus on the good things that make our marriage work. And when you see the little things, I always say to couples, even when I coach them, when you see the little things, do not ignore them, because they get bigger. And some things could have been resolved if you had mentioned it. Like when you see yourself becoming roommates, to say, we never have anything to talk about, we don't have anything in common, or now we're spending too much time on the phone. We constantly remind each other, like, dude, you haven't talked to me. So it's something that you need to be intentional about. And sometimes it happens without even realizing it. But if you're mad and you decide not to communicate, it's just going to get worse, you know. And now you're living in a house where you're just communicating about the groceries. yeah, we need this for supper, we need this, good night, next day, same thing, and becomes a routine. So make the effort it takes. Everyone is working on their marriage. Unfortunately, it's not everyone who talks about it, and sometimes you then get that impression that, you know, these people have it easy, it's working for them, they just click. It takes work. So a happy marriage is possible, but don't give up trying, you know. And if you need extra help, please feel free to let me know, and we can work together, or I can connect you to a counselor or someone who can help you with marriage. Do you have any final words before we go?
I think just to add to that, like, you know, when you're in a relationship, you're supposed to both benefit from that relationship, and that's why you're saying it takes work. So for you to get better, you need to do work. Even if even if you're not in a relationship and you want to better yourself, you're going to have to put in some work. So you can imagine when you're not working with someone else, you're going to have to put in work. It makes sense. So yeah, it's not like it's not maybe appearances. You can see people out going out and laughing, having a good time, but that takes work.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen by itself.
And my last statement, okay, I can go on and on. Love is a choice, it's not a feeling. If you're working on feelings, it will never last. It's waking up every day and still deciding to be with your person, even when they snore, even when they don't pick up their song. I'm joking, but I'm just giving examples. You just felt guilty. But it's just making that decision to say, I'm going to stick with my person till the very end. I always love to say our wedding song the one I walked in with, was I will stay with you, you know, through the ups and the downs. I will stay with you no matter what, and be able to make that decision to say, you know what, no one is leaving this house until we sort out our problems. And trust me, you will get there. Thank you for watching, and bye.
All the best, guys.